what to have on your social media, your website, your pricing guide, what to include in them, what to emphasize in them, and what to keep separate for higher conversion and booking rates. Hello, sunshine, and welcome back to the Gold Biz Podcast with me, your host, Rachel Traxler. I was helping one of my students on a coaching call recently about creating her pricing guide, her welcome guide, elopement guide, and delivery guide. And creating those types of content, in my opinion and experience, can seem like a huge, overwhelming, and daunting task, which kind of leads to not getting it done at all. Hello from experience. And I also have seen it happen too in my students. So what we did is we talked through what I would suggest and what to include in these guides. And here was my answer in short. But before we dive into my answer and dive into this episode, I want to make sure that if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that if you are listening to these episodes audibly, you can also watch them on YouTube too. And my YouTube name is just @Rachel Traxler, and I'll also link it in the show notes as well. But back to what we were diving into, here was my answer to that in short. Stop including so much info on your guides and your resources. And I know that might seem backwards, but by you including everything under the sun, it's actually hurting their experience with you. It's leading them to consumption overload, or even just not even consuming or reading the content that you're giving them, which leads them not coming prepared to make the most of their experience with you, which then leads to just less ideal clients and not as good photos, really. And in the worst case scenario, a poor client experience, which is something we do not want to have, especially around here. You know that we can't have that. We can't have bad client experience. So instead, this is what I suggested: only to include the most crucial information that they need at that time. The key phrase here is at that time. So for example, your welcome guide does not need to talk about the payment retainer, the contract, or anything that has already happened prior, because that's just happened in their onboarding phase. They don't need to be reiterated that. They don't need to be told that again. And it also, on the flip side, shouldn't talk about how to download their photos or what getting albums look like or getting prints and all of that stuff, because that isn't necessary until after they've gotten their photos. It's more excitement after they get their photos. It's okay to have it in there if you want to, but I want you to really think about and challenge you to meet them where they're at when they need that specific information. So what does this look like? It looks like breaking it down into my 4-phase workflow method that I've created. And this is exactly how I like to break down my workflow and the method that I've created to make it easier on you to break it down and then create pieces of content within these 4-phase workflow methods. But number 1, starting with the onboarding and booking phase. Number 2 is the nurture phase. Number 3 is the delivery phase. And number 4 is the offboarding phase. So by breaking it down into those sections, that's going to help you decide what information they're going to need in that exact phase of where they're at. And then once you can figure that out, only include that type of information in those resources and in that section and in the emails you're sending them and the resources you're providing them during those phases. This conversation that I was talking to my student for, it all kind of got started with her asking, what type of content should I be blogging about? And this also kind of sparked the conversation of most people reading your blogs are potential clients. And where are potential clients in your client journey? They are in the inquiry stage. They haven't reached out to you yet. So focusing on content information that is talked about during the booking and onboarding phase of your workflow is really going to resonate with them, because that's where they're at. That's where their headspace is at the time. They're looking to book with you. If someone is looking to book with you and they're reading how to download their images or what type of albums you offer or that you could do as an upsell later on, that's not really going to resonate with them. That's not going to make them trigger in their brain, okay, I have to book her. And which is what you want. You want people to come across your work, whether, again, you have no idea where people are coming across you to start their client experience and journey with you. Could be a blog post, social media post, word of mouth, any of those things. The first thing you want is for someone to hear about you, see your work, see resources, hear your name, and think, she's exactly what I need. I need to book them. And now that's not to say that a lot of your content in your nurture phase would make for awesome blog posts, because it totally would. My suggestion is to look at all 4 of those phases that you have: the onboarding booking phase, the nurture phase, the delivery phase, the offboarding phase, and create resources around them. Create them into blog posts, create them into resources you can send to your clients, create blog and Pinterest pins around them, all of those things. But I also do always recommend saving some specific content for clients only for your clients, of course, so that you're not giving it all away. But then you can also take pieces of content throughout your entire workflow and also then repurpose them again into blog posts, into Pinterest pins, into social media captions, all that stuff. Even if it's, here's 10 resources or 10 things you can do on your wedding day, and that's a piece of content that's reserved for your clients. If you're going to repurpose those for a Pinterest pin or a blog post or a social media pin, you can talk about the first 3 things, and then even mention, to get the rest of the tips, I reserve those for my clients. So then that way you're still providing value, but then you're also showcasing that, but I also do reserve stuff for my clients, and I'm also delivering my clients an awesome experience. So therefore, you have to book with me to get the rest of this information. And if you only focus, circling back, on the beginning stages of your workflow, that's really going to click with people who are looking to book and are in that inquiry mindset of reaching out to people. So I always say, think about those first things first of where they're at in that inquiry stage. And now moving on to things to include in your pricing guide. I could do a separate episode on what to include in every single guide and every single thing. This episode specifically is to what to include in your pricing guide. So here's the layout of a good pricing guide, in my opinion. Number 1, it starts with the intro page. And what I mean by intro page is a picture of your work, one of your hero images, your logo, just a cover, almost like a cover page of a magazine. Thinking about that, setting the tone for what this guide is going to be. Your logo, maybe it's labeled pricing guide, what that looks like. You want to set the tone, set the stage, make sure it's on brand, it's fitting, it's exciting them to go through the whole guide. Number 2 is your brand promise page. This is something that I see a lot of people do in their guides of any sort, that the first page they have is their About Me page. And if you think about it, when you're sending someone your pricing guide, they already kind of know and trust you because they've already reached out to you to get your prices. So likely they already know a little bit about you from social media. They probably have already looked at your website and have probably already read your About Me page on your website. They already know you, and you don't want to create this pricing guide that's so long and full of so much information that it just kind of waters it down. And I feel like having an About page on your pricing guide does that because they already know you at this point. So what I suggest doing is axing that, not axing it completely. Like, you want to have those connection points, but maybe having some pictures of you and instead talking about your brand promise, your elevator pitch, your overall unique methods and experience, and just your overall promise that your clients are getting from you, how you're serving them, why you're different, and why what you do will serve them best, and how you do things differently. Really speaking into and going in depth on that. That's something that I love helping my students in my high-level coaching program do. It's something that every single student that has come into my program, they don't have. And it's one of those things that's like the first thing that we do in the coaching program with me is lay out these foundations. Because what happens when you have these foundations is it makes everything else in your business just come way easier. Be like, okay, I want to create my website. I want to create this guide. I want to create this. Okay, just pull from your foundation and you can create that messaging and that copy and that branding off of the foundation you've already built. And you know it's working towards the goal that you already have laid out the foundation for that goal and in that intention for yourself. So I suggest getting rid of the About page in your pricing guide and substituting it with a brand promise page. I'm interrupting my own episode to give you a quick glimpse into my signature coaching program created for established photographers wanting to double to quadruple their prices, book their highest package, and bring in inquiries consistently. This is my high-level container of go-to photographers who are making huge waves in the industry. And the biggest difference in this program is that we get a full 12 months together for deep dive transformation, weekly coaching call support, 4 coaches in the program to deep dive into specific topics, and a content retreat all included in one program. And I always say, if you can book one extra wedding from your year in the program together, you're going to see your ROI. And it's just the weekly norm wins for my students. So I'm fully confident that you're going to be able to do that and way, way more. And this is an application, phone call, and acceptance process only type of program. So if you are curious if this is the right next steps for you to just blow up your business this year, you can fill out the application at racheltraxler.com/apply or get the link in the show notes. I'll be in touch shortly after you fill it out so that we can talk through together if this is the right fit for you. I'm very honest with people and I want this to be a great fit for everyone involved. That's just my heart behind the way I do this process. And I also think that's why my students just see so much success in this program. So don't just be an information consumption overload this year. I want you to be an action taker and start implementing change into your business. So again, if this feels aligned to you, fill out the application at racheltraxler.com/apply to apply for my Passion to Profit coaching program. And then number 3, the next page should be just an overall experience. This needs to kind of, I think, go in depth of kind of tie hand in hand with what the experience with you looks like. We all do the same thing. We all photograph weddings. We think that we are all doing the same when in reality we are not at all. We're so close to our zone of genius that we think, oh, well, this is how I do, but everyone does it this way, so I'm no different. That is a lie that I want you to completely squash because you do it so differently. So I want you to dive into that. Talk about the overall experience. Okay, maybe your style is very candid and documentary. Cool. You might think that everyone does documentary photography and candid stuff, but not in the approach that you do. And no one poses their clients the same way. So talk about how you do that. What's the experience with them going to be like in front of your camera, but then also on the back end, communication and experience side? What does their experience look like from behind the computer screen? What does their experience look like with you leading up to the day? And then what does it look like on the day? And then what does it look like after the day? Talk about that and lean into the overall experience so that they can really envision themselves in this experience and client journey with you. And it's going to get them excited to really envision themselves. Okay, this is exactly what our wedding photography experience is going to look like. And this is how she is going to make it elevated. And this is what she's going to do for us. And this is how she's going to make us look. Really set the tone for them. That's something too that if people are more analytical thinking, maybe they're more left brain thinking, or maybe something they really value is like certainty. They want to know exactly what they're going to get. They want to know exactly what it's going to look like. They're thinking more analytical where we just asked you for a pricing guide, lady. We just want the numbers. So this is going to also help set the tone and set the stage to shift them from left brain thinking into right brain thinking, because we want to set the tone and get them in the emotional headspace and like educate them that wedding photography and being a wedding photographer is such an emotional connection and an emotional experience that we need to make sure that we connect. We need to make sure that we align. So setting that overall experience, setting the stage is really important. And then number 4, tying into like right after the overall experience is laying out some testimonials. What are other people saying about the experience that they've had with you? And something really powerful to think about when you're picking and choosing testimonials to plug into your pricing guide is that you want to take testimonials that are very specific to where your ideal client or like your future potential client is right now. So if you think about it, they're reaching out to a bunch of other photographers. They are viewing prices right now. They are technically, not always, but they're in the price shopper zone right now, viewing your pricing guide. So how are you so different? How are you standing out? What are other people saying about you? And then using words that also match and align with that. So don't use a testimonial from someone who's just talking about the overall experience with you saying, Rachel was the best decision we made. She made everything easy. We love it. That's great. If that's all you have, use what you have. But I really challenge you to use testimonials that are very specific about like the value in what you provided. Being like, Rachel was the best investment decision we made. We are so glad that we splurged and made this investment. And we're so glad that we put the highest budget in towards this. This is what we find most important. That type of stuff. You want to use those types of testimonials that are really going to connect with people that are in the price shopping mindset right now. And that goes for anywhere, anytime in your entire client experience. Use testimonials that match and meet people exactly where they're at. And then number 5, then is the pricing page. Then you want to lay out the pricing right after testimonials, lay out your clear options, set up your pricing. I could go in a whole other episode of ways and structures and psychology around laying out and presenting your prices, but having your pricing page. You don't want it too far towards the end, but you don't also want it first. You want to set the stage first, then you want to have it, then you want to have a couple resources after. So speaking into after is number 6, is then you want to provide them with timeline examples. So if you have packages that are 8 hours and 10 hours, you need to provide timeline examples that are also 8 hours and 10 hours. Say you have packages that are only 8 hours with add-ons and stuff. Have 2 different timeline examples, maybe one with a first look, one without a first look. This totally depends too whether this pricing guide we're talking about in this episode is like your standard pricing guide or you're creating custom proposals. Again, I've done other episodes on custom proposals, so you can go back and listen to those ones too. But just for example's sake for this one, you want to have timeline examples that make sense with the packages that you have presented them on the page prior. This is just like giving them an extra piece of resource, building that trust, all of those things. And then the next page should be the next steps. So the next steps page is separate from the overall experience page that we talked about on number 3. Number 3, the overall experience is the experience with you. Think about feeling what they're getting, like the deliverables, the desired outcome, all of that. And then number 7 here, this next steps part, this is what needs to happen next, like the very next thing. This isn't an overall view of your experience. This is, okay, these are the very next steps for us to take. You need to email me back with which package feels most aligned for you. I'll send over a contract and an invoice, and then I will send you all the onboarding information for us to get scheduled an engagement session. Like the very next steps. They don't care that you're going to send them stuff later. They don't care that you're going to send them a family shot list closer to the wedding day. They might, but that's not the time and place to talk about it. These next steps are the next 3 steps, 2 or 3 steps that are going to happen after you sent this pricing guide, what they need to do. And then last but not least is a call to action page. I can't even stress, like time and time again, as I'm doing pricing guide audits for people, that their call to action page, they either don't have one or they're calling them to do the wrong thing. Maybe a lot of people on their contact or like their call to action page, you have, here's my social media handle. Thank you so much for asking for this guide. Can't wait to hear back from you. All of those things. And then sending them to links to their social media and doing all these things. That is completely distracting them. There should only be one call to action on this page. And that should be for them to email you back which package feels most aligned to them. And then also with a button that pops up your email address. So, or something like that, that gets them back in the funnel so they don't get distracted by going to your Instagram page. And then also you're asking them to take action. You're asking them and telling them what to do. You're not just saying, I would be so honored to photograph your wedding day. Thank you. And here's more about me. Like you are asking them specific things. You are putting it out there. You're putting out a bold ask and telling them what to do next. And we, in today's social media and just in the world, we need that. We need that guidance to just take action and be told what to do. So I think it's really powerful and so important to make sure that that's what's on your call to action page and not just like super bland and like boring stuff. So make sure it's clear and that you have a bold ask and you're telling them exactly what to do next. So let's do a little recap on the layout of a good pricing guide. Number 1 was an intro page. Number 2 is the brand promise page. Number 3 is your overall experience. Number 4 is testimonials. Number 5 is pricing. Number 6 is timeline examples. Number 7 is the next steps. And then number 8 is your strong, bold, ask, call to action page. So I really hope that this helped you get at least your wheels turning, or maybe you realize, okay, I need to sit down and reevaluate and analyze my own pricing guide, see where I can change some things to make it better or add to it or take away from it even. I think taking away things is just as powerful as adding on things too, because you don't want to water it down and overload with information. So I really hope this episode was helpful for you. If you loved it as much as I loved recording it for you, make sure to screenshot it and share it to your story so that I can see which episodes you're loving the most, and then also share the love in return. And if you haven't already, make sure to go and subscribe on my YouTube channel so that if you wanted to watch these episodes, you could do that as well. But thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I appreciate you so, so much. Keep shining, and we'll see you next time.